Hey guys, it's Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time on Doctor Who, we had the last 3 episodes of the Sensorites. What all happened on that one?
Well, they discovered that there was a reason why Ian fell ill, and that was that there was some kind of poison being fed into the water system on the planet, and it turns out it wasn't a natural thing, that somebody was actually doing it, so they ultimately caught the culprits and managed to wrap everything up. It was one of the few episodes where we thought they could have actually used an extra episode.
Yeah.
But at the very end, Ian just made kind of an off-the-cuff remark, and the doctor went off on him and said, I'm going to drop you off at the very next place that we stop, so
yeah,
we shall see.
Which, I mean, that's sort of, I can see the doctor messing with him about that. It's like, oh, I'm blowing up about this, but he's really not. But it could just be a good joke at the beginning of this episode, so I don't know. But yeah, and it is, this time around, we are watching the first 3 episodes of The Reign of Terror, which should be pretty interesting. Judging by the pattern, we believe that this will be another historical episode, and Reign of Terror would mean French Revolution, if that's the case. And, interesting thing for next time, when we do parts 4 through 6, is that apparently the episodes 4 and 5 are actually animated. Yeah, so
that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, basically just, I would assume it's the same as, taking the audio like they do with the telesnaps, but instead of just doing the telesnaps, obviously they animate it, so, but that will be next time.
Okay,
so
looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that is pretty much that. We might as well get right into these 3 episodes of Doctor Who Classic.
Yeah, I think the doctor's cloak that he got in the last episode will come in very handy here.
Yeah.
Now, that's the second time they've done it with no sound.
Yeah. Well, he didn't have his cloak.
Home.
Do you have to be in such a hurry?
Enough time has been wasted bringing you back, young man. I have the universe to explore.
Must you go? Susan.
Maybe he thinks he landed back in London.
Lots of adventures.
Well, how far from Paris?
Not far. 12 kilometres.
Oh, that's something, I suppose.
Paris, eh? 100 miles or so either way is to be expected. After all, it's only a fraction of the distance we've covered. It's quite accurate.
I'm really kind of surprised he didn't say kilometers.
Distance is our only error.
He said kilometers.
Yeah.
Well,
Doctor,
same thing, I guess.
It is, but I always thought kilometers was the British pronunciation.
Nonsense. Let's have a word with the...
There's a clue. Candles. Obviously no electricity.
Well.
This one. You know, there's a whole wardrobe here. Look, they're all different sizes, too.
Look at these bundles.
How convenient.
Hey, this is signed by Robespierre.
Robespierre. Must be a... Now, wait a minute. The doctor's put us down right in the middle of the French Revolution.
Yes. The Reign of Terror.
So we were right. All along.
We won't look so conspicuous when we go back to the ship.
We might not get back to the ship if Grandfather hears we're in the Reign of Terror.
Why not?
It's his favourite period in the history of Earth.
But they'll take us to Paris to the guillotine. I can't let it happen.
Shouldn't that be guillotine?
Family were executed. They're not coming in. No. The intention is to break our nerve.
Okay, so we must assume these are the aristocrats being chased by the Republican Army.
I guess, yeah.
He did say something about trying to escape, so... Ooh.
Let's get the other one! Hold him!
Well, so much for those two.
But there may be a reward.
The sergeant's right. Perhaps there is a reward.
And besides, why should we do what Madame Guillotine can do so much better? Let's take them to Paris to the guillotine!
Now, notice they said guillotine.
Well,
Move! Get along!
this is an interesting idea, is separating them from the doctor.
We'll burn the house down!
Did he test the fire on his hand?
That's what it sounded or seemed like, yeah.
It's great that they did a nice thorough search of the house before burning it. I wish when we started this, I had started a list of every instance where he could use the sonic screwdriver, and he just doesn't have it yet.
Well, the kid will obviously save him.
Yeah.
Either that or the floor will collapse underneath him and he'll get out.
I was wondering if that was going to be the cliffhanger there. That's a bit of an intense cliffhanger right there.
First time the doctor's life has been in danger.
Yeah.
Now, before we go on, I probably should say this at the end, but this has such great connections for me because, number one, I did live in France from 1956 to 1959 when I was very young. And I showed you pictures. The very first house that we lived in was probably from the 1820s, so not too much longer after this, about 25, 30 years. A little town called Gay. It was in far eastern France, right by the German border, in the Haute-Marne district, about 75 miles south and east of Paris. So, again, the countryside, the house and everything, that's very similar to the little town that I lived in. Practically no cars in the village back then. The cows literally were driven through the streets every day. Every morning when you went out, you could see the fresh cow patties in the street. I remember even at a young age being given money to walk down to the local bakery and buy the baguette, the big French bread every morning, and going back there. So again, that looks all very, very cool. And of course lived in England from 63 to 66. So just this is all bringing back lots and lots of memories. The very first house we lived in England was the servants' quarters in a little place again, a little town called Herringswell. The lodge was actually built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It was an old hunting lodge that I can't remember if it was the prince or the king himself used to come there to go hunting. And again, we lived there for about a year. So this is all just bringing back lots and lots of memories for me.
Yeah. On top of the fact that you watched this 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Now, in England, I would have remembered, all that sort of stuff. In France, again, I was maybe 5, 6, 7 years old. Again, I did kindergarten, first and second grade. So my memories of France tend to come mostly from photographs and from stories that I, shared with my parents much later on. But yeah, this is all very cool and very, very much enjoying it.
Yeah.
Nice intertwining of the Marseillaise there, the French national anthem. And a cool effect when the roof caved in. Paris.
Oh no, they're gonna get taken to the matte painting of a guillotine.
Oh!
Or not.
A freeze frame. Ah, the old lady's knitting. Very Dickensian.
The smell in here. Oh, it's terrible.
Yes, it reminds me of when we were prisoners before, in the prehistoric age.
Oh, yes, I remember that. But there was one very important difference. Grandfather and Ian were with us then.
Au revoir, Monsieur Captain.
Now, they had passes from Robespierre. If he had thought, you would think he would go and grab a couple of those, because that's basically, get out of jail free card.
Well,
Wow, an exterior shot.
yeah, actually.
Is that the first one we've seen?
I think so. It's the first time they went out of the set. They're on location, for once.
That looks like the road to our house in England.
So the doctor's gonna walk 12 kilometers to get there?
Well, think of the times we've been in trouble before. Always managed to get out of it in the end.
Oh, we've been lucky. You can't go on being lucky. Things catch up with you.
They're really referencing the past episodes a lot.
Their previous historical stuff hasn't been that dangerous for them. The Aztecs a little bit, but they had Barbara, already dressed up, and Marco Polo. But there's absolute danger at every turn for them.
You're not going to take your way out, are you? Or why not?
These episodes are getting dark, too.
Well, there's really not much light in the French Revolution.
Yeah.
And although this is the worst part. This is like 1793, 94.
Well, if you were to expend your energy helping with the road instead of bawling and shouting at them every few seconds, you might be able to get somewhere. Good day to you, sir.
I suppose you think you're very clever.
Well, without any undue modesty, yes. Now, would you mind standing aside?
Now get to work, Skinny. I shouldn't try to run away. Remember, I got this.
The doctor just had to be sassy.
Barbara, I think I'll work. Takes my mind off things.
Like Susan's got a different haircut.
No.
Oh! We'll rest. I can't do it, Barbara.
We'll start again later.
Well, it looks like Barbara's hair is reduced by about 20%.
It takes so long.
Oh, boy.
At least it wasn't a pick.
Well. I like that he had to warm up, too, before he did that.
Barbara. Susan.
'Tis a far better place. A far better thing I do than I have ever done. A far, far better place I go than I have ever gone.
Man, these are different, aren't they?
Well, I mean, part of that is simply because we know this history,
Yeah.
With the censor rights, it's like a whole new world that we have to,
Yeah.
3 total hours get used to. But this one, we know what's going on as it opens up. The fact that it says the guests of Madame Guillotine lets us know exactly what's going to happen. So it just, this is why I love Doctor Who, is the historicals.
Yeah.
That is one thing about time travel. If we would actually go back to this time period, the first thing you would do is throw up, because the smell would just be so horrible. All the feces in the street, both human and animal, and the horrible, horrible smell from that city.
Well.
Any city from this time period. somehow I get the feeling that the citizen there is in league with the Englishman.
Well,
I had to build one of those too when we did Scarlet Pimpernel. Only carried one person, and we had no horse.
yeah, they actually have a horse.
Oh. So you say there was nobody in the cart.
Yeah.
And where's the guy that was in the cart?
Maybe he did run.
It signifies the position of regional officer of the provinces.
Yes, I'm quite aware of that. Yes, quite aware. Yes, in fact, it's a post that I myself personally occupy.
I see. I'm sorry, citizen.
Don't apologize. I want to try that on.
Yes, certainly, citizen.
No.
The quality is unmatched.
Not
And in
exactly
comparison, the
off the rack
price
clothing
is
during
right.
this
No
time.
matter, I haven't got
Well.
money.
No money? You realize there is not much call for a...
Have you had a similar coat like this in your shop?
Never.
Then I can understand why there has been no call.
And why does it
It's
have a
heavy
label in it?
material,
Yeah.
I grant you, perhaps with a few alterations. You're offering the entire outfit?
Exactly, of course.
Yes, well, I shall require something else too, like that ring you're wearing, for example.
Yeah, I noticed that ring like last episode.
Then we have a bargain, my dear sir.
And he just got his new coat after losing the last one.
Who is in charge of this business? Well, speak up, my man.
Man, he went all out with that.
My credentials.
Your province is going to be discussed. It would be a great help if you were on hand to answer any difficult questions that crop up.
A great help. Very well.
I promise you will find it most interesting. Come. We must not keep Citizen Robespierre waiting.
Oops.
I keep telling you, he's just left to see Citizen Robespierre. Are you sure it's so urgent? Well, what is it about?
I want to give him this.
What is it?
Evidence against a traitor.
By the way, before I forget, one more of my endless anecdotes. Way back in the early 90s, I was on stage in a play about the American Revolution, which, only 15 years before this. And of course, we rented all the costumes. It was a university production over here at UCO. And when I got my coat, my Revolutionary War coat and the pants and everything, I was putting it on, make sure it fit and everything. And again, looked inside, and of course there was a label in the back, which costume companies do that. But there was a name on the label. The name was Peter Ustinov. Now, you're probably not familiar with that, but a lot of the fans here would know that Peter Ustinov was a very famous actor in the late 50s and early 60s. And again, obviously very much my size, because that coat fit me perfectly. So it has nothing to do with anything. I just thought I'd pass that along. Have an anecdote for everything.
Alrighty. That's the first 3 parts of the Reign of Terror.
Now, this is really kind of odd because it's really a compelling story, but the thing that I'm missing here is the direction. The director's pace seems a little plodding. I mean, the plot is good, the writing is good, the characters and the actors are good, but it does seem to be somewhat slow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was very much an in-between episode where we just had to put a couple things into different places, basically. So, not a ton happened in that last one, but I mean, yeah, it is still interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's a great story. and you just kind of want it to go, hey, come on, let's pick it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, and here's the thing. I can't tell if Jules and his friend there who took Barbara and Susan in, I can't tell if they're working with the British. I mean, if this is sort of a Scarlet Pimpernel sort of rescue thing, or if they're just Frenchmen who don't like to see what's happening to their country and they're simply trying to help people get out of it who want to get out.
Yeah.
So, maybe that will be revealed in, episodes 4, 5, or 6.
Yeah. All right, well, we can go ahead and pop into the notes. The first thing I wrote down was leaving. They're trying to get rid of Ian and Barbara at the beginning, which, okay, first off, the doctor thought that he actually got it that time, that he actually landed in London, which is interesting. I don't feel like anything's really changed to where he would actually think that. So yeah, that was kind of weird. It was like, of all times, you think now you got it, when the last 4 or 5 serials we've had are you not getting there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. And then, him saying, oh, we're 100 miles off. Well, margin of error, close enough. So, but then being over 100 years off.
Now, in 1963, it would have been very easy to pop a train up to Calais and then take the ferry across and then get to London from there. So, yeah, if he thought, hey, we're in northwestern France, north central France, not a big problem. Only to find out again, he's not just 100 miles off, he's 150, 180 years off.
Yeah. And yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I did write down aristocrats for those 2 guys that we saw, but we are not sure if they are aristocrats or just other Frenchmen that don't like to see what's happening.
Now, here's my thought on that. The reason why I think they probably were aristocrats is because they were wearing rather aristocratic clothing. If they weren't, if they were bourgeoisie, their clothes would not have been quite have nice. They wouldn't have had the big collars and the double-breasted suit coats and things like that. Now, the kid obviously was a peasant kid because he was all basically in rags, and then the soldiers, of course, are from the Republican Army there. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they probably were aristocrats because especially if they're in here with Jules and his friend. They're more than likely people of means, people of wealth.
Yeah.
They may not be titled or anything, but they obviously have a very nice house that they're living in, and they have again the means to buy guns and gunpowder and ammunition and things like that to stage these rescues. So
yeah. And it's also interesting that they didn't kill the second guy immediately, and instead he died in prison. So that was interesting that they actually kind of missed, I guess, or they just at least wounded him at that point. So I did write down separated. It is interesting having this separation of the group, which, I mean, we've kind of had that before, and, even last episode, just with Barbara being gone for 2 episodes, or on Marinus, where, the doctor went ahead a couple jumps on there. But this time it seems like a bit more like, well, it's like desperately separated.
Yeah.
So, just starting with the doctor being trapped in there during the fire and the kid getting him out, and then now with Ian being separated from Barbara and Susan. So it is interesting sort of just separating them, and maybe they'll all just come back for the final episode. Maybe they won't even get back for a while. So that was interesting. I did write down, this is our first time we are getting on-location shots, which was pretty cool.
This is series 8?
Yes, this is the 8th serial overall. So
probably late spring or early summer of 64.
Yeah, let's see. So the Cavemen was 4. It was 7 for the Daleks, and then 2 for Edge of Destruction, 7 for Marco Polo.
20.
Yeah. After that was Marinus, so that's 6.
26. 6 for the Censorites. That's 32.
4 for the Aztecs.
That's
And then
36.
Yeah. And then on the second episode of this, they go outdoors.
So this may be late summer of 64.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't start till November, 36 is 3/4 of a year. It's like 9 months. So.
Yeah. So yeah, it took all this time to actually get an on location shot. Now, do you think when they had that scene where the tax guy is making them all start digging, do you think that was on a set or was that on location?
Kind of hard to tell. I would suspect that was still on the set, though.
I would think
because
so.
You'll notice that the true locations were just him walking.
Yes. Which, did they ever get a front shot of him walking? I don't remember.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Because that was the next thing I was wondering is that actually Hartnell that they're filming walking? Or did they put someone in his costume and a wig and have him walk instead?
From what we saw from Venture in Time and Space, that was probably him. He loved doing that sort of stuff. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't think he would have let someone else do it for him.
Probably. And it is still pretty early on. I mean, so, his health is better than it eventually will be. So it's probably fine for him to just, let's just do a couple shots of Bill walking. There you go.
Yeah, this may be like now I'm thinking late July or August of 64. So
yeah. And it was just interesting to see. It's like, oh, they're on location. They haven't done that yet.
And haven't gone to the quarry yet.
Yeah.
That they went to so many other times.
Yeah, that's true.
In later episodes.
Yeah. Let's see. I wrote down the escape, which first off, Barbara just trying to dig her way out. Digging your way out of a French prison is very Count of Monte Cristo, but that took him 12 years. And so it's like, man, Barbara, I don't think you have 12 years to get through this.
In Count of Monte Cristo, was he actually in the Bastille?
Well, maybe not.
Because both Barbara's cell and Ian's cell seem to be just barely below ground level. So removing one of those stones, they might have been able to get out.
I don't know if Dante's was in the Bastille at first. But I mean, he's arrested in Marseille, and then he's sent off to the Chateau d'If, which I believe is its own island. So I don't think he was ever in the Bastille.
Okay.
Because he doesn't go to Paris until he becomes the Count.
Okay.
So, I think it's been a little while since I've read the Count of Monte Cristo. So, but yeah, so we had that, and then we had Ian get the key, which was also interesting. Just watching that and just being like, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. But he didn't, luckily. I also thought, okay, so he takes the key and then puts the ring back together and then puts a different key in there. So why are there so many keys?
Well, theoretically, there's a different key for every lock in the prison.
Yeah.
It's not a what we would call a skeleton key today that would open all the doors. Because being a very old building like that, each lock would have been hand-built separately and would have required a different key.
Right.
So, and again, it's obviously that the administrator there at the prison, the guy over the jailer, orchestrated that. He deliberately made sure that the jailer left the key in there so Ian could get it because he's trying to find wherever Ian is going. Yeah.
Right. Because now Ian has been given a mission by the dying aristocrat to go find, what was it, James Sterling? Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes you wonder. All I wrote down was citizen, but then they said that for everyone, so it's like, well, that's not specific. But yeah, the guy in charge of the jailer.
I'm sure we can find out if we did the
that's true.
credits.
Let's see, Susan Jailer.
Lemaitre. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would. I think that's pretty much him. It's got to be Lemaitre.
Yeah. Yeah, French
The
pronunciation.
French.
The French. See, you say that, that's actually leading into, was that Orson Welles? He did an entire, he did an entire, like, commercial where it was clear he was drunk, and that's how he, like, led each drunk take was, the French. Anyway, I just thought of that.
Yes, we will sell no wine before it's time. I remember those commercials.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, the French pronunciations, I mean, let's see. It's April, so we are... No, I got out of school in December, that's right. So the last time I spoke French, I guess, was December, and I really haven't looked back on it since, and boy, I don't remember much. So
again, please do not fault me for this. I think the pronunciation would be le maître.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because it was like 2 R's and then an E. Yeah, I would think it is something like that.
If I recall correctly, it basically means the master. But yeah, because like the maitre d' is the master of the hotel.
That would be so funny if, like, later they retconned it to be the master.
He was the master.
Yeah, from Doctor Who for no reason. It's like, why is he there? 'Cause he just felt like it.
Yeah.
He felt like screwing with the Doctor back then. So that would be really funny, but no.
Oh, we're tired. It's too long. A long day here.
This is the second. It's the second video we're filming today, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the second of these videos we're doing today. So
we're in the end of our third hour of doing these.
Yeah, so
because we did 3.5 hours of the Sensorites and now 3.5 hours of this. So
yeah, which is why we're wearing the same shirts. So yeah.
All right.
Let's see.
So Ian is allowed to escape.
Yes, because it seems that the guy is going to try to figure out where this guy is, and so I guess that would mean he's trying to find him in order to capture him or do something with that. So I would still imagine like he's on the side of the revolutionaries. Yeah.
Now, again, this is very reminiscent to me of the plot of the Scarlet Pimpernel. There is an Englishman, very much a dandy, very much a fop, doesn't appear to be very dangerous at all, and he turns out to be Percy Blakeney turns out to be the Scarlet Pimpernel. He's literally going over to England, disguising himself as an old woman, pulling one of those tumbrils, basically telling everybody the girl has the plague, and when they leave him alone, he takes the girl out and tries to get her to England that way, and comes back. And there is this very dogged Frenchman named Chauvelin, who is trying to find out the identity of the Scarlet Pimpernel, and he thinks it's Blakeney, but he doesn't know for sure. But he does know that Lady Blakeney, Sir Percy's wife, is a former French citizen named Marguerite, and so he's working Marguerite to try to find out whether Percy is in fact the Scarlet Pimpernel. So this character of Lemaitre is very much like Chauvelin, in my opinion.
Let's see. I did write down new outfit for the Doctor. So
although he was so wrapped up in it, I couldn't. I didn't see whether he had on short pants like everybody else. And it didn't have any color. So I was expecting way more of a costume, but it was all so dark, and so whether it was black or dark blue or whatever, it all blended together. It
seemed like for the most part. I mean, he had the sash. And then, obviously, he had all the feathers in his hat. But that was interesting that, because first off, last episode, we had him losing his jacket and then getting that cape. And he was still wearing that cape at the end of the episode. Cut to this episode, and it's like, well, no, now he's got his coat back. And it's like, oh, okay. And then he just completely gets rid of that outfit in order to try to blend in. So, but I did like that because it's not something the Doctor often does. Like, we keep saying like, the different outfits that Ian will have, for like a couple serials he was wearing that Marco Polo outfit. Yeah. But the Doctor never seems to change his outfit. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I also like that they mention his ring. Because I noticed that when we were watching the Sensorites, I was like, oh yeah, he has a ring. What is that ring for? Like, what is it? Like, why does he just have that ring? You know, because no other incarnation, I think, has that ring. So, and I was like, oh, well, it's just part of his costume, whatever. And then this episode, it's like, nope, here's a ring, and this is the proof that he is, you know, not who he says he is. So,
well, maybe they'll tell us in one of the next episodes where the ring came from.
Yeah, that's true.
It would be interesting if it was some kind of device to summon the TARDIS, because, I mean, still, once all of this is over and everybody escapes happily, they still have, you know, more than 10 miles to get back out to the forest to get back into the TARDIS.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think it's pretty wishful thinking that that's how they bring the TARDIS to them. Because also, you could say, well, why didn't they use that in the Aztecs then to get the TARDIS out of the tomb? You know, so I think that's just way too wishful thinking. Because even I'm thinking of like all the modern episodes where he still can't do that.
Yeah.
And actually, I think I saw something where it's like there was one time, and maybe this was in a comic or something, but there was one time he actually tried. He actually like summoned the TARDIS to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I can't do that often. She doesn't like it."
Now, didn't we, in our lead up to the 50th anniversary, wasn't there one episode where they used the TARDIS to go to a different spot, but where they were? Or was that in one of the audios that we listened to?
Maybe.
I want to say it was Pertwee. Maybe, but I don't know. But I seem to recall that they had to get it from one place to another place in the same place that they were. And I don't remember how they did it.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe one of the companions went in and brought it, but I don't know. But it seemed odd that they were able to actually use it to get somewhere within the same episode.
Yeah, which, I mean, apparently, because some people have talked about this in the comments, especially during Marco Polo, when we were like, oh, why didn't you just, you know, take Marco to Venice? Like, well, he just can't be that accurate. Yeah. More than likely, it would just mean Marco would be like Ian and Barbara, you know, just traveling with him because, can't get back. Oh, well. So, I think it's a while before that ever really happens. I don't think the First Doctor ever gets that level of control, but I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think the ring can summon the TARDIS. The closest thing is in one of the latest Capaldi episodes I watched. There was someone who was in the TARDIS, and he said, if you pop any DVD into the TARDIS console, the TARDIS will return to the Doctor for some reason. But you have to hold on to the TARDIS console, or else she's just going to leave you there. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. We did have Jules saving Barbara and Susan, which was pretty interesting. And again, I guess I would imagine that he would be aristocracy trying to save France, or at least try to save some people in France. So,
and considering that Susan and Barbara's costumes that they put on, their dresses they put on, were not quite peasant. They were obviously not upper class, because they would have had way more frills on and stuff like that. So it's interesting why they chose to save them, other than they might have thought that they were with the two guys who were supposed to meet them anyway.
Yeah, well, and other than the fact that they just see that people are being led to the guillotine. So.
Speaking of that scene, again, what happened to the other guy in the tumbril with them?
He just bailed, I guess.
But did you also notice that there was a cut in that scene?
I did notice that.
That they shot the first guy, and then there was a jump, almost identical, but you could tell it was a jump, and then the second guy was shot. Or he fired at one of the guys, and then he got shot. But it was an abrupt kind of cut there.
Was that in this episode, or was that the last episode?
I don't even remember.
I wonder if we can find that, actually. Let's see. That
must have been in this one.
Yeah.
Because didn't they escape in this one?
Yeah. But alright, so it's a bit earlier. Yeah, it'd be about here.
I think we're in luck. You know what to do. I'll take the one on the right.
Are you ready? Come on now. Oh, I can't. You go, Bob. Don't be silly. Come on, pull yourself together. My head's splitting and my back's aching. All right, Susan.
Here we go.
There.
Yeah, what was that about? Only thing I could think. I don't know. It's the only time we've ever seen just a cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't really tell like if there's any change there, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Maybe they simply had to wait to get all the smoke out of the air.
Maybe could have been that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cool that they are, they're obviously firing with blanks, but to have that sort of, looks pretty real. Obviously, they're not doing any CG in the 60s on TV.
Yeah.
So that is pretty cool. But yeah, wonder what caused that cut, because they don't cut for anything.
Yeah.
Bill will flub Chesterton as many times as he can, and they will not cut that. So,
all right.
Yeah. And the last thing I wrote down is we are on our way to meet Robespierre.
First citizen. No, he would be deputy first citizen, I think.
Yeah. Which, the way they sort of build that up, it kind of reminds me of meeting the Khan in Marco Polo. Yeah. It's like, oh, this big important guy, we're gonna go meet him next time. So yeah, that will be pretty interesting. But that's pretty much all I got for this one.
Looking forward to the next three, especially the fact that two of them are animated. That's going to be cool.
Do you think they'll be in color?
I don't know.
Because I assume these animations are, at the very least post 2000, so I would assume they would be animated.
Well, I hate to reveal this to our viewers, but we can cheat and watch the first couple of seconds of the next one after we sign off here.
Oh, nah, we don't. We can wait the week. We'll do it. The only thing I'm thinking is if it's the same animation style as Scream of the Schalke that we watched, that sort of weird flash animation that they did.
But hey, it's better than the telesnaps. I mean,
it is.
We sat through 7 episodes of Marco Polo watching still pictures.
Yeah, it's a good thing that was a good story.
Yes.
Otherwise, that would have been really hard to get through.
Can you imagine the cavemen in telesnaps?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you'd still be able to listen to their endless debates, though. So, and that was another thing, was that they referenced a bunch of the older episodes. So, so maybe that's because we're getting closer to, I guess, the 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I will say this. I don't know that British TV specifically did this, but American TV, the new fall schedule almost always debuted in September.
Yeah.
So if they had debuted in November, in '63 they had missed that by a month or two. So now if they're coming around to the start of the new season, which is usually in September, then this would have been right about the beginning of the second season.
Yeah. And actually, because we have this schedule here. This is the last of the first season, actually. The next 3 episodes will be the last of season 1 before they move on. So yeah, that's pretty early, because that wouldn't be, like we said when we sort of mapped out how long it's been. That doesn't exactly get you to November of '64. So that's pretty interesting.
I suspect that they started their second season in September rather than on their actual anniversary date.
Yeah. Speaking of which, does this last one say 1 through 6?
The invasion does say 1 through 6.
Well,
we may have to break that up.
Yeah, well,
depending on what it's about.
The good news is, with watching longer episodes, because let's face it, we watched 6 episodes today. We split them up into 2 videos. The good thing is, it's a lot easier to do in quarantine.
Yes.
So when you don't have to go to work all week and then
do homework all week.
Yeah, and then come home and now I force you to watch TV in here. So,
and we mow the lawn and we walk the dog and do all the other, home type things that people do. So
yeah. But that's pretty much it. That's all I got for these episodes.
okay.
So, yeah, with all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of our Doctor Who classic reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.